1 minute ago. Jennifer arrested after confessing helping Diddy in court. Judge immediately sentences. An hour ago, a federal judge issued an arrest warrant for Jennifer Lopez. That's right, that Jennifer Lopez. The once untouchable queen of Latin pop and red carpet royalty now finds herself at the center of one of the most sensational criminal investigations to rock the entertainment world. Her alleged role smuggling a gun into a Manhattan nightclub in 1999 and helping orchestrate a cover-up that sent an innocent man to prison for a decade. The question now echoing through the courtroom and the internet is chilling. Was she always involved, or did she simply get too close to the flame? Before we begin, we advise viewers to consider. This story is not just about the fall of celebrity. It is about power, complicity, and the price of silence. It is based on sworn testimony, sealed court documents, and eyewitness accounts that now threaten to destroy everything Jennifer Lopez and Sean Diddy Combs have built over decades. The first domino has fallen with Cassie Ventura. In late 2023, Cassie filed a lawsuit against Diddy. The accusations were horrifying coercion abuse, surveillance, and manipulation. But more than her personal trauma, her testimony lifted the curtain on a larger system. A hidden world of exotic parties, disposable phones, hush money, and power plays. And then the unexpected name appeared: Jennifer Lopez. As the trial raged on, an unexpected voice emerged: Natanya Rubin. Rubin, a survivor of the 1999 shooting, returned to the spotlight after years of silence. Shot in the face that infamous night, Rubin testified that the truth had been buried under celebrity legal gymnastics and a carefully orchestrated media campaign. She didn't just accuse Diddy, she was referring to J.Lo. In Rubin's sworn testimony, she detailed that Jennifer Lopez was more than just a passerby or a girlfriend that night. She was allegedly the one who smuggled the weapons into the club. After the shots rang out, Lopez and Diddy, Rubin, and several witnesses confirmed staged a quick and precise cover-up. They pointed the finger at the youngest, most vulnerable person in the room, rapper Jamal "Shine" Barrow. He was arrested, tried, and convicted. He served 10 years in prison. Meanwhile, Diddy and Lopez are free. Their careers took off. Lopez released movies, hit singles, and international tours. Diddy expanded his empire into fashion, liquor, and media. Shine, now a politician in Belize, faded from the headlines until now. The court isn't just dealing with a moment in time. It's unpacking a web of silence, manipulation, and strategic alliances that spans decades. A key allegation in the new filings: J.Lo and Diddy may have been secretly married at the time of the shooting. Why? To invoke spousal privilege and prevent her from testifying against him in court. No marriage license found, no denial issued. Is it love or strategy? Cassie's testimony brought up another disturbing element: the use of women as gun mules. She tearfully recounted how Diddy handed her a loaded gun and instructed her to carry it into the club. She complied, terrified. The action, in striking detail, mirrored what Rubin and others claimed Lopez had done years earlier. Is this a model? Was J.Lo complicit that night? And did she help establish a system where women are merely expendable pawns in a much larger and darker game? Rodney "Lil Rod" Jones appears. Jones, another former associate, confirmed the pattern. He accused Lopez of helping to shield Diddy from legal scrutiny. Not once. Not passively, actively. According to Jones, she helped manipulate witnesses, conceal evidence, and manage media coverage. In short, she wasn't a helper, she was a partner. These are not just accusations from bitter exes. They are sworn statements, court-reviewed evidence, and testimony under penalty of perjury. What makes them even more damning is their consistency across time, geography, and witnesses. Same names, same methods, same silence. Now we ask, why didn't the public see this sooner? One reason could be optics. Consider the mugshots from 1999. Shine in street clothes, Diddy leaning against a concrete wall, but Lopez posing in front of a billboard in baggy, ripped t-shirts. Not exactly what you'd expect after a night out clubbing on Christmas. Natanya Rubin pointed this out in court. You think they went out dressed like that? No, it was a setup. It was damage control. From the beginning, there was an effort to change the story, clean up the image, rewrite the show, and it worked. For 25 years, Lopez has evaded scrutiny. She has rebranded, she has climbed, she has become a global symbol of empowerment. But now, her name is etched into court records. Her silence speaks volumes, and the public finally is listening. In Part 2, we'll look at how J-Lo's alleged involvement extends beyond one night in Manhattan. We'll trace her name through flight manifests, disposable phones, secret guest lists, and into the heart of a federal investigation. But before you do that, ask yourself, what does silence mean when you know someone else is being destroyed, and who benefits most from keeping silent? When Cassie Ventura first named Jennifer Lopez in her testimony, the courtroom changed. Until then, Lopez had been a peripheral figure, a celebrity on the sidelines of the scandal, not at its center. But in that moment, as Cassie broke down as she described the manipulation, abuse, and setup she endured at Diddy's thumb, she also described another figure in the shadows, a woman who years earlier may have helped write the rules. It all started with logistics. A disposable phone here, a private jet there. Cassie detailed how Diddy controlled everything, the lighting, the camera angles, even what she wore. But when the prosecution presented the flight logs from 2000, it wasn't Diddy's name that made the gallery gasp. That's Jennifer Lopez. Her name appeared next to Cassie's, next to Diddy's, next to another name which was later deleted. A name later revealed to be that of a 17-year-old girl, a private jet, a party in the Caribbean, no chaperones, no supervision. Is J-Lo just another passenger, or is she curating the guest list? Witness. Misha testified that Lopez didn't just attend these gatherings, she played a role. She had a clipboard, Misha said on the stand. She was coordinating everything. I don't know what it was, but it looked like she was working, not partying. This isn't Lopez on a magazine cover or a perfume commercial. This is a woman behind the scenes, supposedly managing schedules, ensuring anonymity, controlling exposure. Misha recounts a bizarre party where she was assaulted. She made eye contact with Lopez throughout the act. I silently begged her for help, Misha said. She just stood there watching. That moment, more than any other, cemented Lopez's role, not as a bystander, but as a designed participant. Then came the videotape. During a routine seizure of hard drives from Diddy's Los Angeles home, the FBI discovered dozens of encrypted video files. Most were labeled with dates and locations. Some had names. One of those names was J-Lo. The defense tried to suppress the footage, citing privacy and lack of context. But the prosecution argued it was important. A judge allowed a short, carefully edited clip to be played. In the courtroom, the video is a bit grainy but clear. Diddy's voice can be heard saying, "She's fine with it. She knows how this is going to go." A woman's voice replies calmly, almost businesslike, "I told you I wouldn't come unless they were over 18. Diddy laughed. It's just an optical illusion. That's not confirmed, but it's implied. And implication in a courtroom filled with survivors, lawyers, and federal agents is a powerful weapon. The word optics rings like a bell. What else is there to show red carpet looks, public romances, comeback stories? Outside the courthouse, the public reaction was swift. Social media exploded with outrage. Hashtags like "Bro J-Lo knew" and "Joe silence is complicity" trended globally. Former fans deleted playlists. Brands quietly began withdrawing endorsements. But perhaps the most shocking consequences have come from within the industry itself. Lopez's first husband, Ojani Noah, has resurfaced in an exclusive interview, claiming their brief marriage ended not because of infidelity, but because of a darkness that I couldn't explain at the time. According to Noah, Lopez told him about Diddy's private events, downplayed them, and then became defensive when questioned. She said it was just business, he recalled. But business doesn't make you cry afterwards. Journalists reviewed timelines. Investigators reanalyzed old testimony. One entry in a sealed court document from 2002 came to the fore. It was the transcript of an internal meeting at Bad Boy Entertainment. Lopez was present. Her handwritten notes included a line underlined twice. The media was misleading. Tell them it was Shine. We kept quiet. Is it a directive, a suggestion, a strategy? We may never know. But in the context of the testimonials, that's deplorable. Meanwhile, Lopez remains absent. No statements, no appearances. Only her legal team offers a vague response. Ms. Lopez maintains her innocence and has always followed the law. But silence in cases like this is not soft speech. It roars. And that roar grew louder as another testimony shattered the illusion. Witness C, a former bodyguard, testified under oath that after the 1999 shooting trial ended, Diddy threw a private party not to celebrate but to close ranks. It wasn't champagne and dancing, he said. It was cold. It was like a funeral. Lopez was there. He told her, "You played your part perfectly." This is not a congratulation. This is an absolution. Back in court, the prosecution leaned in. They brought in a cultural historian to testify not about music or dance, but about silence. She explained how celebrity culture creates immunity, how the system of wealth and fame protects those at the top. We teach people to look the other way, she said, to forgive the fame before we understand the crime. By the end of season 2, there was no longer any doubt about whether Jennifer Lopez would be involved. The question is, how much did she know? How deep did it go, and how long did she help keep the curtain in place while others were destroyed behind it? If Us only shattered the public's illusion of Jennifer Lopez's innocence. Sequel shattered the inner circle's secrecy. The phrase "glass guest" began to circulate in hushed tones throughout the courtroom and the press pool. A code name, a whispered label. The testimony came from a witness known only as Event Planner X. Called late nearly ignored their testimony, added to the chilling effect of one of the most damaging celebrity trials in recent history. Every oddity has a list, X said. Every location, every flight list, every guest. But there's one name that always comes with a note, special permission. We call her the glass guest. Why glasses? Asked the prosecutor. Because she never responded to anything. You couldn't read her. You couldn't see her reactions. It was like she was there, but never really there. And just like that, Jennifer Lopez's stage name was born. Not out of affection, but out of alienation. In a sealed court document from 2001, prosecutors discovered emails referencing glass guest. The emails don't name names, but describe a woman who traveled under an alias, booked last-minute tickets, and declined a security escort. They cross-reference airline bookings, catering orders, and invoices. This pattern persisted. Each time the alias was used, Jennifer Lopez's performance schedule conveniently coincided with Diddy's residence on the East Coast. Each time, an underage female guest was also recorded as being present. Finally, one of those guests stepped forward. She was known as Rachel, a pseudonym protected by federal witness protection laws. In her testimony, she described being trafficked across state lines for what she believed was a music video shoot. She was 16 years old. I remember seeing Jennifer Lopez that night, Rachel said. She said to me something like, "You're going to be a star." I had no idea what that meant. She continued shaking. I was drugged. There were cameras, and people were watching. She didn't stop. She left early, but she saw me. She saw what they were doing. The courtroom remained silent. The prosecutors paused. The defense tried to object lack of hard evidence hearsay, but the judge allowed the testimony. Meanwhile, the public was no longer surprised, because at this point, the story is no longer about implication. It's about presence. This presence is demonstrated on documents, receipts, unsealed chat logs, and guest lists. Then came the most damning evidence to date, the hotel's internal security report from 2000. The report describes a VIP guest under the alias G Glass asking to turn off closed-circuit footage for her floor to ensure privacy. The reservation paid through an LLC controlled by Diddy, the name associated with the spa reservation Jennifer Lopez. Meanwhile, the online narrative shifted from shock to outrage. Reddit threads dissected the trial in real time. Conspiracy forums moved to the timeline. Influencers posted analysis. One video caption summed up the cultural shift: "She's not a queen, she's a manager." Elsewhere, Ben Affleck's silence grew louder. Sources close to the actor revealed that he had undergone intensive therapy following the federal raid that allegedly revealed Lopez's involvement. The same report claimed that he had watched a classified FBI briefing. Within 72 hours, his team had canceled all public appearances. The press speculated, the public judged. Yet the institutions remained silent until another tape leaked. This was not presented in court. It appeared on a private Telegram channel, then spread like wildfire. It shows an odd gathering dated March 2001. The lighting is dim, faces are blurred, but there is one unmistakable detail: a woman resembling Jennifer Lopez, holding a guest list directing traffic. Not confirmed, but not nothing. The court did not authenticate the tape. The prosecution did not cite the tape. But the jury was thrown out of court earlier that day. Lopez's team issued a rare rebuttal. Our client vehemently denies her presence at any such gathering and requests that her privacy be protected. But privacy is no longer an option. Inside the courtroom, Cassie returned to the stand. Her voice was clearer now, stronger. She looked at the jury and said, "I saw Jennifer there, at least twice. She didn't say anything, but she was there. You can't forget that." And for many viewers, it was the end of innocence. At that point, cultural institutions began to recalibrate. Netflix canceled Lopez's documentary series. L'Oreal canceled an upcoming campaign. Music platforms tweaked their homepages. No headlines, no scandals, just quiet deletions. Lopez, however, remains abroad, last spotted at a villa in Sardinia. According to immigration records obtained by insiders, she has extended her stay twice since the trial began. Meanwhile, a second grand jury began considering her case, not for complicity yet, but for obstruction. The question isn't whether Jennifer Lopez helped build the machine. The question now is whether she helped hide its gears. There were no more answers, just a list that kept growing. And at the top, in a delicate font, under the label "Special Clearance, the Glass Guest," was still there. As public outrage mounted, the courtroom rang with speculation. Was Jennifer Lopez still untouchable, or had she just disappeared? Reporters have combed through international flight logs. Tabloids have cited unverified sightings in Albania, Qatar, and the Maldives. Each report paints the same picture: a woman disappearing villa by villa. And as the legal storm at home has raged, there has been a silence, strategic, meticulous, a silence with purpose. "She's not hiding," an anonymous source from Lopez's legal team told a reporter. "She's distant. There's a difference." But the court did not see it that way. Federal prosecutors pressed on. New subpoenas were issued. One for a chartered flight used in 1999, another for a luxury security firm responsible for event staffing. The questions were no longer about Diddy's guilt. They were about who protected him, who scheduled the cars, who burned the footage, and the name Jennifer Lopez kept appearing. In a taped statement, a former makeup artist named Alexis claimed she worked with Lopez on the night of the infamous 1999 club shooting. She was very nervous, Alexis said. Paces back and forth, asks about fingerprints. I didn't understand what she meant. Now I do. It is not decisive, but it is very condemnable. And then the leak happened. A redacted excerpt of a sealed grand jury document was posted to Substack by a journalist in which Lopez's initials appear next to multiple pieces of evidence, under the heading "Potential Co-Conspirators." No charges have been filed, but her connection is undeniable. The court of public opinion reacted similarly. Spotify playlists dropped her. Radio stations stopped playing her. A once iconic perfume campaign disappeared from store shelves. Memes turned sour. Once dubbed Jenny from the block, she's now Jenny from the flight log. Inside the courtroom, the atmosphere turned colder. Cassie returned to the stand, leading the jury through her final months under Diddy's control. She recounted secret surveillance, drug-induced coercion, so-called empathy recordings, where she was filmed crying after bizarre events, then forced to watch them herself. He calls it therapy, Cassie said. But it's punishment. The judge called for a recess. The jurors cried. As the days of the trial wore on, Lopez's absence became a personal figure. Empty chairs were reserved for her in court. Her face, blurred for privacy, appeared on evidence panels. Her voice, extracted from voicemails, played in the background of Diddy's scheduling calls, and still not a word from her. Until the judge dropped the phrase, material witness. The gallery froze. For most legal analysts, it was a warning: appear voluntarily or be coerced. 2 days later, a diplomatic cable leaked from a European consulate. It mentioned an unnamed prominent American asking for refugee-style protection on the grounds of international harassment. The internet needed no hints. Its mind was made up. Back in court, attention grew again. Prosecutors introduced a witness known as Witness V, a former stunt double for J.Lo in her early music videos. Her testimony was bizarre. I was asked to wear her outfit, go through the back exit, and take a picture. I thought it was just for attention. Now I think it was something else. Maybe bait, maybe an alibi. Her statements are circumstantial, but create a creepy pattern. Then there's footage from a rehearsal room in 2000. In it, Diddy and Lopez appear to be arguing off stage. Their conversation is barely audible, but the words, "it's gone," and "just shine," were picked up by audio experts. The defense countered, this is just speculation, not evidence. But for the jury and viewers watching the trial unfold, like a Netflix drama, that was enough. Lopez's career isn't just in jeopardy, it's being erased. Academy event organizers quietly disinvited her from the retrospective gala. Fashion brands removed her endorsement images from packaging. Even daytime talk shows stopped mentioning her name. And throughout it all, she remained silent. A viral tweet captured the moment perfectly. Cassie survived, Shine endured. But J.Lo is gone, and that's probably the loudest thing she's ever said. Finally, the legal tide is turning. Not with handcuffs, but with increasingly clear testimony and evidence. Testimony was summoned. Whether Jennifer Lopez will appear or not remains an unanswered but important question. By week 5, the trial had morphed into something far more than a legal proceeding. It was a reckoning not just about Diddy's actions, but also about the people who had watched him for decades. And at the center of that reckoning, the ghostly presence of Jennifer Lopez loomed large. She wasn't just missing, she was missed. Every mention of her name changed the mood of the courtroom. Witnesses described her not as a pop star, but as a figure in a dark network, someone who was not just complicit, but important. It was Misha who fanned the flames. Back on the stand, Misha described another strange incident, one that took place at a beach house in the Hamptons. She recalled being drugged, then waking up in a room surrounded by cameras draped in white curtains and hearing laughter. She said the laughter was unmistakable. I looked up, she testified, and I saw Jennifer Lopez sipping champagne. She looked bored. She wasn't shocked. She wasn't scared. She looked used to it. The entire courtroom fell silent. Then the video was played. A grainy clip from a hallway camera shows the same mansion, Lopez walking past the same assistant, giving what appear to be instructions about lighting and props. It's not evidence of a crime, but for the prosecution it's about the model, and they rely on that model with surgical precision. They called in an event planner, who by subpoena had worked with Bad Boy Entertainment. He spoke of coded booking instructions. Guest G was Jennifer. Lighting white meant bright lights for a safe public relations appearance. Lighting red meant discreet. Jennifer's reservations are always coded as red, he said. The media was quick to pick up on the news. The hashtags, Chachuar lighting red and Sachuar's guest G, trended overnight. Meanwhile, Lopez's camp has broken its silence. A representative released a statement. Jennifer Lopez denies any wrongdoing. She has cooperated with federal investigations and has not been charged with any crime. But that announcement came too late. Cassie returned to the stand one last time. Her testimony was softer now, less frantic, more focused. She described how Lopez had come to her rehearsal, spoken kindly to her, and then whispered something cold. "Just do what he says. It will be easier that way." "I thought she was helping me," Cassie said, "but now I think she's warning me." Gasps echoed throughout the courtroom. An extensive forensic investigation followed. A technology expert walked the jury through data recovered from Diddy's seized cloud accounts. Among the files was a folder called Legacy. Inside were notes, photos, surveillance logs, and a subfolder called Fireflies. That was Lopez's nickname, the expert testified. It's mentioned in many records. Includes draft itineraries, legal preparation notes, and documents labeled JJ Strategy. One of these contains a reference to post-incident optical management from December 1999. There was a meeting the next morning, the expert explained. J-Lo was listed as the chair, still no charges, no hard evidence, just smoke. But the public did not wait. Fan pages have turned into survivor awareness platforms. Former stylists, dancers, and producers have posted cryptic TikToks. One caption reads, "She knew, we all knew, but she smiled bigger." Even an old clip from American Idol went viral. Lopez judged a nervous contestant with the line, "Some people just can't handle pressure." The comments were brutal. One person wrote, "She'll know. She passed every stress test for all the wrong reasons." In court, the prosecution's final move shocked public opinion. They asked Lopez to be called as a material witness, citing new communications between her and Diddy from a recording app. Messages from 1999 and 2023 show a coded language with phrases like "garden party" to cause panic and "shine" as a signal to be quiet. The judge signed the order. But will she come? No one knows. But the system is now ready to find out. Meanwhile, prosecutors turned their attention to the industry. They played a series of gripping clips from awards shows, music videos, red carpets of Diddy and Lopez smiling at each other, while the alleged victims were gagged behind a curtain. Then there's the timeline wall, a digital board displaying crimes dates and photos. Lopez appears in 17 of the 41 cases. Not as a bystander, as a constant. This is not about guilt, the prosecutor said. It's about presence, and presence unchecked becomes power. The defense countered. They argued that Lopez was unfairly framed, that she was never charged, and that the media frenzy distorted the truth. But even the jury was skeptical. The final witness of Part 5 is a surprise. Shine, now a member of Parliament, appeared via satellite live from Belize. He spoke slowly, deliberately. "I am young, I am loyal, but I am not blind. They let me rot, and while I'm in jail, they dance." He never named names, but those names need not be said again. Finally, Jennifer Lopez was called. Her voice was expected. And the world waits. Not for music, not for movies, but for the truth. The courthouse buzzed with anticipation. Cameras lined the sidewalks. Activists held signs that now read, "Not just protect survivors, but subpoena J-Lo." The cultural tide had crested. Jennifer Lopez, long admired, now dissected, was no longer a ghost in whispers. She was a name on a federal subpoena, and so far she has not appeared. In the days after the judge's order, speculation swirled like vultures. Had Lopez fled for good? Was she negotiating hush-hush terms? Social media buzzed. A blurry photo in Dubai, a private jet that might have been tracked to Montenegro. But the Justice Department said nothing. Then on a foggy Monday it happened. A black SUV pulled into a sealed courthouse garage in D.C. The windows were tinted, and the interior was obscured, but a sheriff's deputy confirmed to reporters, "A high-profile witness is in federal custody for cooperation, not indictment." Jennifer Lopez was in the building. No photos, no hallway footage. Just a brief update on court records. Witness J. Lopez is scheduled to testify behind closed doors at 11:00 a.m. ET. Outside, the whispers died down to a kind of reverent silence. This was no longer tabloid journalism. This was history. Inside, in a room shielded from cameras, Lopez sat across from federal prosecutors. There was no defense attorney beside her. This wasn't a trial. Not yet. But every answer carried weight. According to later leaks, she was calm, dressed in gray, speaking calmly. She answered every question. When asked about the 1999 shooting, she confirmed her attendance. When asked about her relationship with Shine, she said, "He was the scapegoat. I understand that now." Then came the more difficult questions. Did she know about that weapon? She hesitated. "I was young. He told me to carry it. I didn't think I had any other choice." What about the weirdos? Her voice was said to have dropped. "I didn't like them, but I stayed. Because it was easier. Because I thought love meant loyalty." "Did you ever stop him?" asked a spy. She shook her head. "No, I helped him. And that's something I will never forgive myself for." In 2 hours, she delivered what analysts later called a meek confession, not criminal but cultural, a reckoning in real time. Meanwhile, outside the courtroom, the victims held a live press conference. Cassie, flanked by Nada Rubin and Misha, took the podium. "This is not about one woman," she said. "This is about every woman who has been silent, because they thought they had to be. And today, someone finally broke that silence." Back in court, the prosecutor asked Lopez why she had remained silent for so long. What was her answer? "Because I thought silence would keep me safe." But it only protected him. Testimony ended. No applause, no press release. Just a sealed envelope handed to the judge and a brief official summary. The witness has cooperated fully. No charges are recommended at this time. But the court of public opinion has begun to convene. Online reactions were mixed. Some praised Lopez for coming forward. Others called it too little too late. Hashtags like "Urashtu Confession Gray" and "Not Too Big Too Fall" trended worldwide. In the following days, the ripples continued to spread. Sponsors have pulled out. Studios have adjusted release schedules. Billboard has dropped her from its campaign headline. Even her longtime manager has issued a statement. "We support Jennifer's journey to accountability, but the business must move forward." She wasn't canceled, but she was revised. Meanwhile, Diddy's trial moves into closing arguments. The prosecution, bolstered by Lopez's testimony, reminded the jury of the timeline, the gun, the manipulation, the panic, the silence. They played the final voicemail. Diddy's voice, slow and steady. She knew what to do. The defense tried to shift blame, calling Lopez a manipulative partner, not the perpetrator. But their voices trembled. Even their expert witness admitted the patterns show shared power, not just subservience. Then the verdict came, not for Lopez but for the man she had fought alongside. Guilty, on all counts: extortion, coercion, trafficking in persons, falsifying evidence, life without parole. The courtroom did not cheer but sighed. Jennifer Lopez watched the announcement from an undisclosed location. According to insiders, she cried, not from relief, but from the memory. A few days later, she posted a video statement. It's raw, unedited. She speaks directly into the camera. "For years I've been praised for surviving, but I didn't just survive. I ignored them. I saw things. I didn't act. And in that silence, others suffered. I'm sorry." Finally, she had no makeup, no stage lights, just her voice. This is not redemption. This is reckoning. The public reaction was fierce. Some forgave, some forgot, some never forgot. But what happened next was surprising. Cassie, Nada, and Misha invited Lopez to join Witness to Power. Not as a leader, not as a symbol, as a volunteer, she accepted. Her first task, listen. The final scenes unfold quietly. Diddy was sent to federal prison. His assets were destroyed. His assets were turned over to survivors. Shine's profile has been deleted. The U.S. government has issued a formal apology. As for Lopez, she's disappeared from Hollywood, but not from the conversation. In schools, law programs, media ethics boards, her name has become a case study, not of villainy, but of complicity, of silence, of cultural awakening. Her last public photo was not on a red carpet. It was at a community center on a folding chair, wearing casual clothes. A girl next to her was wearing a shirt that said, "Power listens now." And that's it. The story doesn't end with fireworks or handcuffs. It ends with echoes, with victims no longer begging to be heard, with silence no longer mistaken for strength, and with one final truth. Sometimes the biggest judgment is the one who decides to have the final say.